Hello and welcome. My name is Gabriel, and I am so sick right now. The day is September 1st. It's the middle of the second week of my school year, and I have fallen ill. So, while I'm waiting for my COVID test results to come back, I can't go to class, which means I've had the whole day to just do nothing. And I figured while I have this free time, I might as well make some content. And it's still like 90 degrees outside, but it is finally technically my favorite season, which is the fall. I think it's everyone's favorite season. If it's not, what's wrong with you? That was harsh. So, since it is fall, I am doing the Finally Fall book tag. I don't know if this is still popular on BookTube. I just remember seeing it in years past. I haven't seen anyone I'm subscribed to make one yet, but maybe I'll be the first. I'll start the train. I'm the influencer. Whatever. Okay, I'm gonna try and boost my energy, but I am at death's door, Jesus. Question number 1. In the fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. Now, you guys know that I love an atmospheric book. I love a book that just transports me into a place where I can feel the air, I can see the landscape around me. Pretty much all of my favorite books I describe as atmospheric, and I thought about listing some of my classic favorites, The Secret History by Donna Tartt, A Mercy by Toni Morrison, but I thought that I would do a new favorite, and that is Play It As It Lays by Joan Didion. I talked about this one in my summer wrap-up. It's about a actress who is getting a divorce and whose daughter is in the hospital. It's set in California and Nevada during the early 1970s, I want to say. And it is just packed with these really vivid depictions of the desert. You know, the landscape that it describes, but the writing itself even is very dry and stark and scorching. When reading this book, I was just overcome with waves of exhaustion, as if I was getting heat stroke. And I think that it just captures exactly what it feels like to be trapped in the middle of the desert when places like New York City feel like another planet. Question number 2. Nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. Now, I was very tempted to talk about my most recent finished read, which is The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion, because this is a memoir that is explicitly about processing grief. It's about the year following the death of her husband. But I changed my mind, and I decided to talk about an old favorite, which is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. This book is about two twins, Noah and Jude. It is a young adult coming-of-age novel, and both siblings are artists. It is told from Noah's perspective when they are 13 years old, and Jude's when they are 16, and their lives have been forever changed by a family tragedy. Now, I can't talk about how this book deals with loss and grief without really spoiling it, but the writing in here is just so beautiful, and it's just packed with this really bright and lovely imagery. And as far as the grief aspect goes, it just deals with the very complicated feeling of finding out that a person you knew had different sides of them that you never got to know and that you never will really understand. This book is so beautiful. I don't talk about it enough. Yeah, maybe I should find a passage in here that shows how pretty the writing is. Okay, here's one of my favorite passages from this book. We're under a street lamp and I'm trying not to stare, but it's hard. I wish the world would stick like a clock so I could look at him for as long as I want. There's something going on in his face right now, something very bright trying to get out, a dam keeping back a wall of light. His soul might be the sun. I've never met anyone who had the sun for a soul. Question number 3. Fall is back to school season. Name a nonfiction book that taught you something new. And this question gives me another excuse to talk about a new favorite. Zealot, The Life and Times of Jesus of Nazareth by Reza Aslan. So this book was such a strange find for me. I went through this phase last year of listening to lectures in order to fall asleep. And one night I just stumbled upon a lecture given by Reza Aslan about this book, and I was just fascinated by everything he said. So this book is about Palestine in the 1st century, and his thesis is that you cannot use biblical writing as truthful historical documents, and so instead he compiles what few historically reliable documents there are describing Jesus of Nazareth, and he forms them together with his knowledge of life of Palestine in the 1st century to create a sort of biography of who Jesus might have been in his lifetime when you remove all of the like thousands of years of religious doctrine that have been projected onto this guy. It also unpacks early Christianity and the formation of Catholicism within the Roman Empire. And it just sent me spiraling on this like early religion hyperfixation. Question number 4. In order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with the people we love. Name a fictional family or household or friend group that you'd like to be a part of. I think this is going to be a very popular answer to this question this year. I want to be a part of the Heartstopper friend group from the Heartstopper webcomic by Alice Oseman. I'll insert a picture of the comic friends here. If you've read that comic, you just know that this friend group is so lovely and supportive, and they just have so many cute little adventures. And also, I've seen pictures of the cast for the TV show that's going to be released on Netflix at some point. I'll insert a picture here, and just, don't they look so cool? Yeah, I want to be friends with them. Question number 5. The colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-colored spines. I should have done this earlier. Okay. This is like... Oh, wait, that actually looks kind of cool. I hate living. I just dropped them. This is fine. Everything is so okay over here. Question number 6. Fall is the perfect time for storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. And this gives me an excuse to talk about one of my favorites that I have read this year, which is The People in the Trees by Hanya Yanagihara. I have had pretty much the same journey with this book that I had with A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, where when I finished it, I was so, like, shocked and upset by what I had read that I couldn't really process the impact that the novel had had on me. So I think I gave this 4 stars when I first finished it. But you know what? I think about this book every goddamn day. It's just brutal. So, The People in the Trees is about Norton Perina, a young scientist who embarks on an anthropological expedition to the Micronesian island Ivu Ivu, where he and a team discover a turtle, which when eaten can cause the person who eats it to live for hundreds of years. This book follows his remarkable career as well as the effects of this discovery on the island and its indigenous people. And I use this book to answer this question because the entire thing is framed as a memoir that he is writing in prison after he has been convicted of a terrible crime, trying to preserve his legacy. I put on this sweatshirt because I had like chills, but now I'm overheating, so I guess I'll just die. This book is a work of genius. It's really startling and upsetting, and if you are worried about triggers, I would look up what exactly goes down in here because it's pretty brutal. But if you are brave enough to stomach it, I think that this is a book that will stick with you for a very long time. Question number 7. The nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy read. And I don't read a lot of horror necessarily, but I'm so excited this question is there so I can talk about Death in Her Hands by Otessa Moshfegh. This book is about an old woman who, after the death of her husband, moves to a cabin in the middle of the woods where it's just her and her dog and nobody around for miles. But one day, when she is out walking her dog, she finds a note on the ground that says, "Her name was Magda. Nobody will ever know who killed her. It wasn't me. Here is her dead body." But here's the catch. There is no body. There is no other evidence or clues. It is just the note. And this book follows this old woman in isolation with her dog, losing it, just making up possible explanations for this note, who Magda could have been, who could have killed her, why this note would have been left for her. It's one of the scariest books I've ever read, and literally nothing happens in it. It just blurs the line between fiction and reality, and the reality within fiction. And it's so trippy and strange. I was talking to my friend Stella, who just finished this book, and she was talking about this old woman making up stories. And while you're reading the stories this old woman has made up, you're like, wait, but those aren't real, right? Like, that's not true. But then you think about this old woman and her dog, and you're like, wait, but she's not real. And so it's like, what is... Oh, it's so good. Guys, Anyway, question number 8. The days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. You guys know that I don't read like short, heartwarming books, right? Okay, so first I'll recommend the Heartstopper webcomic by Alice Oseman. It's so sweet and lovely. I haven't checked the updates in a long time, but I remember last summer I just took a day and binged the whole thing. It's so cute. But for a book that I like physically have with me, I decided to talk about The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. This is a wild card, I know. I don't have to tell you what The Wizard of Oz is about, right? I don't know, it's just a wonderful little story. I remember I read the book about 7 years ago and thought it was great. I even kept reading along in the series. If you're a fan of the movie and you just like this story, I would recommend this book. I think it holds up great. Maybe. I haven't read it in a long time. Question number 9. Fall returns every year. Name an old favorite that you would like to return to soon. I am going to say The Mark of Athena by Rick Riordan. This is the 3rd book in the Heroes of Olympus series, which I have been rereading this year. I had this with me all summer and just never touched it, but I'm going to get to it soon. I'm very excited for this book because it's the part of the series I remember things got like really good. Question number 10 is a kind of strange one. It's like fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. I don't really have like reading accessories. I don't use a reading light or even a lamp. I just use the overhead light in my bedroom. And I can read wearing whatever. So instead I'm going to show you like the places I love to read. Obviously there's my chair. I'll insert a picture here. And then my new couch, which is a place that I love to read. I sat on it all day yesterday and just breezed through Normal People by Sally Rooney. Hey, I'm going to talk about that soon. Here's a picture of the couch. And that's the last question. Thanks for chilling with me on this sick day. I hope you all have a wonderful fall. Comment down below what you've been reading lately and what you plan to read in the fall. Comment your thoughts on any of these books I mentioned. If you liked this video, give it a big thumbs up and hit subscribe as well as the bell icon so you get notified every time I upload. I think that's the full spiel. See you guys next time.